Thursday is St. Nicholas Day. And in Europe, St. Nicholas comes to children on the evening before. And sometimes you just put a plate out before you go to bed. And in the morning, there is something in. There is a Wickenman in, an orange, an apple, some nuts. In Holland, St. Nicholas comes from Spain by boat. It did already last week.
Huh.
And he lands on the boat and get off the boat. And they celebrate, and then those children put wooden shoes out on their windowsill. St. Nicholas really lived in the 3rd century in Turkey. And he was a bishop. And the bishop has a mitra, a big towel hat, and the staff. And there were so many poor children. And the bishop, he felt so bad for these children. So, but he didn't want to let them know that he puts presents or gave them a pair of warm socks or mittens. So he puts it on the windowsill. And then when he died and became a saint, everybody in Europe, and your Santa Claus is kind of coming from that too. But that's really history. Now, I tell you a story when I was maybe 10 at the time, 11. Now think about it. It's snowing. Maybe it's not even snowing, but the fields are full of snow. The woods is full of snow, the tall black forest trees. And it's quiet because it's war. There are no cars. So the woodworkers, they cut trees down. They had no tractors. They had the sleds with the horses. And the horses had bells around their neck. So we walked to my uncle's house. It was an hour and a half to walk. 3 hours through the woods. And sometimes you hear the bells. And we thought, that is Santa Claus flying over. And he comes tonight because he came to our uncle's house. That's why we went there. No, they had no food, no extra food. So we, from the farmer, we got the milk. We carried that. And when we had the main meal at noontime, then we walked. And then it was coffee time in the afternoon. And we kids got hot chocolate, and the grown-ups had coffee, and they lived on a hill, and so there were steps on the outside of the house, and then it gets dark early, right, 4:30, it gets dark. We know St. Nicholas is coming soon, and we were a little scared. And excited and scared at the same time. You had to sing a song, say a poem or a prayer for St. Nicholas. And everybody wants to sit next to my Oma, because we thought, then you're safe. Then we heard the bell, little ding-a-ling up the stairs, and here he rang the doorbell, and he came in, St. Nicholas, and he was tall. And he had the mitra on, and he had a golden book and a black book. And he has his helper, which is Knecht Ruprecht, dressed like a woodsman with a hood. And he had a whip with hazelnut twigs, because they hurt the most. And he had a big sack. And the story was, if you're really, really bad, he takes you in the sack and takes you in the wood. But he also has the goodies in the sack. So he came, he had a golden book and a black book. In the golden book, there were all the good things we did during the year. You helped your mother, you dried the dishes, you listened, and in the black book was all the things you didn't do so well. You didn't want to get up in the morning. You were late to church. You didn't do your work, what you are supposed to do, your chores. And maybe you even lied. And that's not right either. And he had the whip. And my sister, she had a big mouth and talked back. And she got hit every year. And you know what she did? She was smart. I wouldn't be so smart. She stood right next to the table leg, so when the Knecht Ruprecht hit her, he hit the table leg and not her legs. And then he opened the sack, and guess what was in there? A wicked man. And you know what a wicked man is? The translation is a roll man, like a roll, because it's a dough. And that's what he brought every year. And we were happy, and here is one for you, and here is one for you.
Say thank you, Oma.
And there is one for you, and there is one for the biggest kid of all. And what would he said to you two? What do you do good? What do you think?
What do you do that's good?
I do chores and schoolwork. Scoop my cat's litter box.
Good. And what do you do? What is not so good? Don't listen sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. And Nicolas he would know that. And then we went home, and we could go home on the bus. And then you went through the villages, and it was during the war. You couldn't have street lights really, because the airplanes would see that. It was dark, and the snow was there. And then we were so happy that it was over, and he didn't have too many bad things about to say for us.
More good things than bad, right?
And so now we sing the song. Lasst uns froh und munter sein und uns recht von Herzen freuen. Lustig, lustig, tralalalala, bald ist Nikolausabend da, bald ist Nikolausabend da. Dann stell ich den Teller auf, Nikolaus legt gewiss was drauf. Lustig, lustig, tralalalala, bald ist Nikolausabend da, bald ist Nikolausabend da. Very good, Kelly.
Take a piece. Try it out. It's good. You like bread and rolls. It's a little bit.
It's like a sweet roll, and you can have butter on it.
You can
and
have
it's
butter on it.
awesome.
You can break off an arm, and I cut it in half and put butter on it.
You will like